First story. Is she cheating or am I insane? Am I insane or is she cheating? My so and I had been engaged for 6 years but together for 8. We share a son who is 5. I, 31M, think she, 34F, has been having an affair with a male co-worker. Stick it out with me because it may be long but I need opinions. My so was involved in a car accident in March of 2023. She called me freaking out since it was the first wreck she'd ever been in. I immediately told her I would leave work and come pick her up. Your first wreck is always pretty scary. She said she was going to drive her truck to work. Even called me to tell me when she arrived safely but said the truck was struggling, and then drive her truck home for insurance to come do an estimate at our home. Fast forward 6 weeks. She is at a family gathering with my family, and was discussing her wreck where he accidentally slipped up, and said she left her truck in the Wendy's parking lot after the wreck. I am baffled, but I just played it cool and said, who picked you up from your wreck? She immediately said Matt, which is her male boss. I told her had that actually happened she would have never lied to me about her male boss picking her up. She would have just said, hey, I left my truck, Matt is giving me a ride. After a few hours of her saying it was her boss he broke, she told me it was a male co-worker, Kevin, who actually picked her up from the wreck. Prior to this wreck, the two of them were never on my radar. I didn't suspect a thing. But this clearly broke boundaries which I was uncomfortable with, and we have a 3-year-old son at this time, so I told her she had one chance to come clean. She is a yoga professional, so the gym she's at has a 6-month membership extra. So when the gym is closed for maintenance, she still works and gets paid. But there are no members or any one gym. She later admitted that she and Kevin had gone to lunch during the gym off, or would drive to the next town over just the two of them. Had she told me up front I'm going to lunch with Kevin, I wouldn't have cared at all. It's the fact she lied about he picking her up in a pretty traumatic time. Her truck was totaled when I offered multiple times to come get her. And then after I find out the truth about the wreck, he disclosed small details that the two of them would go to lunch together. But it's not like that. There just isn't a cook there in the gym off, so they have to eat. At this point I'm pretty confident it's much more than she is leading on. Come January of 2024, the yoga show rolls around. This is a show for current yoga pros to go learn new things and see new attire coming out for the next generation. Kevin is the club merchandiser, so she too will be going to the yoga show. I told my so I wasn't crazy about Kevin, Matt and my so going, but I assumed with Matt there, since he's both their bosses, it really was business. Well, 2 days before the show, my so tells me Matt had a family emergency and can no longer go. So, my so and Kevin went to Florida for an entire week, just the two of them sharing a room. To which she said, we had separate beds and living space. Naturally, after this trip and previous lies, I started to get really uncomfortable and would ask questions regarding them. But she would explode and tell me I need psychiatric help, and I'm crazy, I'm insane, and she'd always be like, well, ask yourself. We've been working on my childhood home, which is a fixer-upper, for over a year, and had plans to move in very soon. But something in the back of my mind was like, maybe I should ask her for peace of mind. We are moving into a new house, and I don't want to bring old problems and insecurities into this new home. I did not tell her, but I reached out to Kevin. Told him I was not mad at him, didn't blame him, I just needed to know for my peace of mind, because I'd been told that there never has been nor never will be anything between the two of them. Although my so has lied about him to me in the past and also omitted his name even if he was present for the event, outing, etc. I ended my message with saying, I hate to ask, but I need to know before we move into a new house. Has there or was there ever anything emotionally or physically inappropriate between the two of you? Kevin simply thumbs ups the message. So in my mind that was confirmation that everything I suspected was indeed true. I took a thumbs up as yes, but I'm not saying any more. So I wait 20 more minutes to see if he will respond. When he didn't respond, I sent Miso a text saying that I reached out to him and asked myself, and I think it's best she not move to my new house with me, and it's time to separate. All he can say is, you reached out to my coworker, my place of employment, you are insane. I cannot believe you would do that. Remember I said, he liked my message. I waited 20 minutes to see if he would respond, he did not, and then I told to Miso. Within 1 minute of me telling so I spoke to Kevin. I get a message back from him. Keep in mind he responds only after Miso now knows I reached out to him, and sends the most professional BS message back saying, there never has been nor will be anything more than a working relationship between So and I. Yes, we go to lunch in the winter, but it's just that I have no idea as to why she would hide any of that information from you. The yoga show was a work trip and never felt like anything other than a work trip, I can assure you that. I hope this eases your mind. Now y'all call me crazy, but you just thumbs upped my message for 20 minutes, not a single word, and after I tell Miso I sent a message to you, I get a response from you less than, I kid you not, less than a minute later. Tell me they weren't talking about it or doing the whole what did you say? What should I say? Thing. She couldn't say anything to me because I would know Kevin told her I messaged him, but the minute I myself messaged Miso he responds to me in under a minute. So, that day I went home, packed my stuff and moved back into my childhood home without her, and we are splitting time with our son. She keeps playing the victim card saying she's done nothing wrong, she even told me that blah blah. But no one lies about another male over and over if there truly isn't something to hide, right? If you have read this far, thank you. But please tell me, was Miso having an affair or am I being insane? Thank you all. I am really just looking for some support either way. Second story. Wife says she needs space after she had an affair. Me, 33M, and my wife, 33F, have had a bit of a tough year. We have been married 2.5 years but been together for 10.5 years. At the beginning of this year, she set some goals for herself that she wanted to start an MBA program and run a marathon by next year and improve her physical fitness. She started an online MBA program at the start of the year and joined the running club, has run 2 half marathons so far this year and continues to train. Since these two things have started, I noticed that my wife has been more distant, both emotionally and intimately. She comes home from work, goes for a run until 11 or 12 with her running partner who's from the running club, does homework, goes to bed. Any other free time she has on weekends is spent out doing stuff with her friends, to which I am not invited. I broached this subject with her several times, and she said that she's never been a super emotional, affectionate person, which isn't false, and that she hasn't been in the mood for sex as much lately. We probably were having sex once every 3 weeks or so, each of which I initiated. We've had a few fights this year, when she was drunk, that resulted in us traveling home in separate cars, Ubers. The last 2 months, however, she's had these drunken bursts where she tells me that she hates me and that I'm the most selfish person she's ever met. These came to a head when we were on a family vacation last week, where she had these outbursts of anger towards me when she was drunk and ended up going home early. She called her mom crying on Friday night when this happened, and her mom flew in from out of state the next day to be with her. She's still here. She leaves Monday, which will have been over a week that she's been here. I didn't come back home until this past Thursday to talk with her, and she said that she needs some space, and that I need to work on self-improvement. Well, we have space, and we'll see if we can work it out down the line. She said she wants me to work on physical health, mental health, and my professional career. I've had the same job for 10 years, and she thinks I should try to find a new one. When I asked her what caused her to have all this resentment, she said she doesn't like my attitude, that I don't help out enough around the house when she's asked, that I'm lazy, that my spending habits are bad, and that her being around me makes her miserable. I don't really have the option of moving back with my parents, so for now. Space means us sleeping in separate rooms. I told her I would work on those 3 things. Be cleaner around the house. I do 100% of cooking and dishes, but she gets annoyed that I leave things lying around the house and don't put my laundry away quick enough. I can't help but think that not all of this adds up to the first time in our 10.5-year relationship that she's saying she needs a break. I asked her if there was someone else she wasn't telling me and she said no. She said the reason that she's been distant and not wanting to be intimate and working on herself this year is that she has felt miserable for the last year. My wife makes 3 times what I make, and admittedly, I've had some issues with credit card debt balances, one of which was about 10K that she paid off for me, but I will have paid her back in full by the end of the year. I don't have much in savings, and I need to work on this as well, and she thinks I need to make more money. I make about 90K now in an extremely HCOL city. She bought our condo before we got married and my name isn't on the deed. I pay her about 1/3 of the mortgage every month, and now I have found a 3rd job to make more money, which 3 days a week night shift storekeeper. I work for Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. I can't help but think there must be other factors at work here. The hospital she works at is being taken over by the state and being shut down, so there's a lot of uncertainty around her job at the moment. And I think she's getting some baby fever watching all of her friends now have kids and us getting older. She said that she would never have a baby with me as it is right now because she said she knows that she would be doing 100% of taking care of it. One Saturday night I got off earlier than usually. I head home. I saw a car parking outside. I noticed this BMW isn't a neighbor car. I parked the other spot, straight ahead to our condo. I could hear from outside my wife moaning, and I know she's unfaithful to me. I want to know, is this salvageable if I work on these things? I'm making a commitment to being more active. I've been in therapy for a few months. My dad has terminal cancer and will be dead in the next 8 to 10 months, so this has been an enormous cause of stress for me. I just don't know what putting even more space between us will accomplish when the space that was already between us was causing me so much strife. The level of resentment that she demonstrated really came out of left field for me. I knew we were having a tough year, but if you had told me last month that there was a possibility of my marriage ending before the end of the year, I would have said you were nuts. Where do I go from here? Should I try to find some way to move out completely? I'm feeling confused, lost and upset that she waited so long to directly communicate this resentment to me, and now we are at this point. I can't help but think she's already checked out of the marriage and is just saying give me space to drag out the inevitable, even if I work on these things. My wife has been unhappy in our relationship for a year, which has caused her to focus on herself, distance herself from me, and had an affair. She recently blew up and said that I make her miserable, which is why she avoids me, and told me she needs space and needs me to self-improve. If this is going to work, what do I do? 3rd story. COVID affair. My wife 45F and I 41M have been married for almost 20 years. We have 3 wonderful children. When COVID happened, I went off the deep end, as did she. Not necessarily because we were afraid of the virus, but more because we were bored, pent up at home, and all of our very robust social lives suddenly ended. As time went on, we fell into a pattern of playing around with other people on the internet. This included sex cams with people, sex chat on the phone, sexting, etc. As background information, my wife was basically an OnlyFans girl back before it existed, and before we got married and had kids, and loves the thrill of camming with other guys. We had very clear boundaries set. Once COVID restrictions started getting lifted, we agreed to stop all sexual activities with outsiders. She suddenly became very distant from both me and the kids, to the point that she would send us away or have us go do stuff. She also changed her speech patterns and the way she spoke in a very bizarre way, that I could tell she was still talking to another guy. My son and I got caught driving to an event in a tornado. First I had been in my life. I called her and told her about it and she was very quick and dismissive. Learned later that she was spending the evening with her dude watching The World Is Not Enough, as if that isn't as ironic as it could be. Anyway, fast forward, she spent months with this guy. I really didn't care at some point, figured our relationship was over, but it got really frigging frustrating that she was ignoring the whole family. I stopped talking to her completely. For about 3 weeks, she sends me a message after the 3 weeks asking me to please end the no talking. I finally relented and said, if you bring your phone down and hand it to me. She comes down from upstairs and starts to hand me her phone. I said, do I really need it? You were having an affair. She immediately admitted she was and said how sorry she was. 2 days later, I opened her laptop and saw a ton of missed calls from him on Discord. Confronted her and she didn't say much, so I asked her to leave the house, which she did. After she was gone, I was in a moment of extreme depression. Her boyfriend, who started out online, revealed that he not only knew her name, address, kids' names, etc., but that she had sent him photos of the kids, talked about what school they went to, etc. It made me sick. Because she was at her parents' house, her mother became somewhat involved. I told her to have her daughter come get her stuff and that if she took her laptop, primary means of communication with him, or her wedding ring, I knew it was over. She ended up leaving them and apologizing profusely. After a few days, I sent her a list of ground rules if our relationship was going to last. Number 1 was honesty. I asked her to document exactly what happened during the affair. Over the next few months I experienced lie after lie after lie. That includes when I found out stuff she bought for him, including outfits with my credit card, how many times she called him, 8-9 times a day up to 1 hour per day, while she was shuttling our kids upstairs, and how she had looked up hotels near his house, and even planned to travel during one of our son's birthdays to see him. Every time one of her lies happened, it was like ripping a bandage off and bleeding for days. We went to counseling and it did not work. Bad counselor, I would say, but I stayed with her. We eventually had some really good sex, kinky and hot. Accidentally had another baby. Got very happy again. We were laying in bed, and she started getting very defensive and asking me about a friend of mine. What I had texted to him, a picture of a cheerleader, and was generally acting like she didn't trust me at all. We had a nice fortnight, as the Tay-Tay song goes, of love, but in the end, that was when I realized it was over for good. Getting divorced now, it sucks. It was way before OnlyFans existed, and I did know she enjoyed attention from men on the internet. Probably wasn't hundreds, I don't know. And she didn't really get paid like OnlyFans at the time. It was more like a guy would send her a keyboard or buy her a gift card. Again, we had kids afterwards and she had not done this for 15-ish years. They were online buddies, with my consent based on our agreement, for about 2 months. Then I'd say she spent about 2 months trying to hide the affair. Fourth story. Emotionally cheated on. So kick this off with what I've done first. Me, 32M, her, 33F. She had a difficult pregnancy and we weren't intimate for a year. Anyone I paid for 99p sub on someone's event cancelled it after. To me it was just porn and I seen it once, and it was a couple, not just a girl. She found out. She even slapped me through a drink over me. 2 years later, she played a game, and was lost in this game for a year. We argued weekly and she was saying maybe I should find someone I deserve. I used to watch her smile at her phone, but thrown at me, it came to the point where I did not feel love for her. We got some work done at home, and we ended up spending 2 weeks together, and the magic came back. My suspicion was still in the back of my mind. I went through her phone and found nothing. Anyway, she gave her old phone to our son and I decided to check her search history. What I found was a bullet to the heart, lots of French translations, what's naughty and horny in French, a French address, flights to Grenoble, I just sent her a message saying I know about your affair. She dropped everything and work rushed home. She was extremely sorry. I asked where else you spoke and she said only in the game. That night I noticed she hid her phone under her pillow, so I snuck it out and went through her Discord. I found pictures of him, a year of sexual talk. I know from the chat that there was not nude pictures sent by her. I was devastated. I read every word of the chat. Now that I know there was nothing physical and it fell under emotional cheating, I'm trying to heal and forgive. I'm still going through her phone without her knowing. Will this get easier? How can I stop being so paranoid? And has anyone had any success in healing? Maybe, but I'm trying to get it to work. However, I've already sorted finances out and putting money away. I want it to work. She has deleted the game from her phone. She has really made an effort. She put up with a week of arguments. However, we are not allowed to speak about it. We set boundaries, and I said sending a picture to any bloke is not acceptable in my eyes. And I ain't even watch porn anymore. She cannot delete his chat, but she didn't. She closed the DM when she finished for the day. Pictures leave trails. I now know how to see chats on WhatsApp through Google Drive. WhatsApp came up clear. I searched everything. Pretty much hacked her phone, using her old one. She has since realized this as I unfortunately started backing up the pictures on her old phone. Maybe I'm the one doing the rug sweeping. It was treated as infidelity. Her friend actually told me by doing that, what I did was I showed her friend all of the screenshots. I stopped talking to her about it. I obviously don't believe what I did was worse, but it definitely hurt her. I'm really trying to forgive. And she is trying to help too. She's not completely brushed it off. She is definitely sorry. The hard part is our son is autistic. Me leaving could make his world fall apart. I know I was compared to that guy during arguments. That's the part that kills me the most. I had no one during that time. I almost ended myself. I'm too mature for that sort of stuff. Doesn't mean I didn't feel like doing it. I've got no idea why I stood by her through that difficult time. But I love her. I also broke my hand taking out my anger on a wall. What else do you do when you find that shit out? I have to hold the family together for my son. Relationship got a bit better. We've started again going on dates, trying to get over it. Best thing I did was go back to work.